Hey guys, what up? Total Control 871, and today is absolutely pissing down with rain. Alright guys, for our next installment of Cycling Advocacy, today we're going to be covering a topic posted by the Gothamist Daily. It was also covered in Bicycling Magazine as well, and war on e-bikes. Well, who the hell put a fly in his ointment? Let's give a read. 2 months after promising to look into complaints about electric bicycles in certain Manhattan neighborhoods, Mayor Bill de Blasio announced his plan on Tuesday to address this growing safety concern, in quotation marks, by directing NYPD to crack down on e-bike scaffolds and their employers. At a press conference in the Upper West Side, the mayor railed against the motorized bicycles going the wrong way on streets, weaving through traffic, sometimes going on sidewalks. Mind you, he's just targeting e-bikes. Any bicycle can commit those infractions, so a new crackdown will begin in January, he said, aimed at not only going after reckless drivers of these bikes, but going after the businesses themselves. Are you seeing what's coming? All right. While state law requires that these bicycles be registered as motorcycles, such registration doesn't currently exist. How do you even have something like that? A person can commit an infraction, but there's no remedy for it, which has long led e-bikers to zip through the legal gray area. Because of this regulatory patchwork, e-bikes are legal to sell as bicycles anywhere in the U.S., but effectively illegal to ride in New York since they can't be registered as motor vehicles. For years now, enforcement of this law has fallen squarely on the e-bike riders, primarily delivery workers, a group largely comprised of undocumented immigrants, who may receive a fine up to $500 and have their e-bike confiscated. Such a tactic will continue under the new enforcement regime, though the NYPD will be directed to use civil summonses to the businesses that employ e-bike riders. Business owners will face a fine of $100 with subsequent e-bike fines costing them $200. This is here's an image that NYPD feels so proud of himself for having confiscated. I guess they feel proud of themselves. Okay. Those at the top of the food chain need to be held accountable, the mayor said in a statement. That's why instead of merely targeting riders, we're going after businesses that look the other way and leave their workers to shoulder the fine. When asked to provide data showing that the e-bikes were in fact a threat to public safety, the mayor promised that he'll get back to you. Reached for comment after the press conference. This is the press following up on his I'll get back to you. An NYPD spokesperson told us collisions are not broken down to that level of specificity. Uh-huh. Then where are you getting your data from? You are literally just pulling this out of your ass. Alright. Meanwhile, the data that does exist suggests that crackdown on e-bikes is well underway. During Tuesday's press conference, the mayor thanked NYPD for confiscating 900 bikes this year, a 170% increase from the same time of last year. Up until a few years ago, such enforcement was almost entirely confined to a handful of precincts in higher income neighborhoods. According to an analysis released last year, Biking Public Project, 92% of commercial cycling tickets issued between 2007 and 2015 were handed out in just 4 Manhattan precincts, covering the Upper East Side, the Upper West Side, and parts of Midtown. Those neighborhoods saw commercial cycling summonses issued at a rate of 200 times higher than the average neighborhood rate. Council member Helen Rosenthal, who represents the Upper West Side, has long urged the city to crack down on e-bike riders. She says it's extremely important to hold restaurants accountable for the use of e-bikes when making food deliveries, whether the restaurant actually owns the bikes or not, Rosenthal said yesterday. I wonder who pissed in her Cheerios. The onus of enforcement should not be on the delivery people alone. I look forward to continuing to work with the administration to make our cities, streets, and sidewalks truly safe for pedestrians. So, this article, it goes on. Hold on, it's not a little bit more. I'll finish it. Clearly, this e-bike crackdown is about listening to the loudest complainers, not listening to the data. Caroline Samponaro, a spokesperson for Transit Alt, told Gothamist, rather than attacking the livelihoods of hardworking, predominantly immigrants, delivery cyclists, the mayor should follow the lead of California and work with New York State legislature to pass common sense e-bike legislation that establishes framework for safe pedal power low speed models. Frankly, I don't even think they should have that. You give them that foothold, and that's where it all runs amok. Asked if he was concerned that the law could target a majority immigrant population, particularly older workers who require the motorized bikes, the mayor said that he hopes such employees will be able to find some other type of work within the business. It really fits with everything we do at Vision Zero. Who did they think when you're saying that you have poor? The mayor added, Vision Zero is about making us safe no matter what the threat is. Sounds like some old 1984 shit if you ask me. But yeah, I've been speculating about this for quite some time. First of all, that whole New York thing, it's coming down to replacing lost revenue. Alternative transportation is spiking dramatically. New York has just been ridiculously congested for a long time now. But we're seeing that it's not just simply confined to New York. Alternative transportation. Cars are extremely expensive to own, okay? Own and operate. It's the second biggest investment of your entire life, behind your home. Millennials, whether they're gentrified or not, people are just simply waking up to the suck, okay? The bleed. There's just all of this attachment latching on to you, bleeding away your financial security. And that's what people are very much indeed struggling with these days. A very, very financially insecure future. How can I make myself more financially secure? What can I truly do without? Considering our highway transportation data clearly shows that 80% of the trips that are out here on the road, it's a trip that's involving a 5 mile round tripper, and there's usually only one person in the car. Easily attainable with a bicycle. People are waking up to this, they're switching over to it, and municipalities, city states, they are noticing the massive drop in revenue. This is basically their answer to that. Regulation. Just massive regulation. So this is definitely, like I say, my political status. I call myself a Republicratarian. I'm a little bit of everything. So yeah, definitely the libertarian in me starts to come out. You just want to regulate this. This regulation, it comes out of continuity. Transportation, it has to be regulated and registered, and you have to give the city some money if you're going to be using it. It's got nothing to do with your safety whatsoever. Even going back to 100 some years ago, when cars were given license plates, registration, and once the rich, because that's all who could really afford cars back then, and I don't mean middle class, we're talking rich. They were the only ones who could really afford a car. It was a plaything back then. Recreation. They started to hit people and injure people and leave people maimed and crippled. Now, do you seriously think that the city cared about some poor person that got ran over by a rich person in their new plaything? Hell no. Hell no. All the city saw was, yes, we can create a system, because this poor person who's been maimed and crippled, Your Honor. Oh my God. Oh. Enter insurance, enter registration, enter license plates, enter the government. So this is what's happening. They're trying to transmute this over to graft it, should I say. They want to graft this type of legislation onto the cycling community. But here's the big thing. Bikes don't kill people, okay? That's why you enacted mandatory insurance and registration for cars, because they were so expensive, and, your better bikes aren't cheap, but the fact of the matter is they don't come anywhere close to being as expensive as a car is, and they simply don't kill. If I'm not mistaken, there was one cycling caused fatality. I was going to do it. Somebody was on in the UK, a real wanker, fixed gear, no brakes whatsoever. Killed a woman. She languished for a while too, if I'm not mistaken. Very bad head injury. But that is very much indeed a rarity. And yeah, so we see it. This is definitely, it's a money grab. That's all it's coming down to. They see what's coming down the pike. They don't need people like me to point it out to them. Auto drive technology, all of this stuff, details over money and how it's going to be paid, because I'm going to tell you right now, city, states, municipalities, they refuse to be left standing there with their dicks in their hand. We want fucking money, I know one thing, I'll close out on this. Don't be surprised if, as a means of saving money from the lost revenue, that all of a sudden you see a massive increase in police cycling unit. And I'm not talking about cops riding around with their bikes on the back of cars. No. See, the police department, that's the whole reason for increasing it. They don't want to buy the car. You're a cop, you're on a bike, and you're going to stay on your bike, and you're going to be policing our brand new cycling community, So as the cycling community grows, so will the bicycle police unit. My theory, anyway. All right, guys, that's it. I'm here at my D&D, charging up. See if I can get power for the week. I charge up my batteries, and it keeps me out of these places. You know, I can save a little money, and there you go. All right, guys, there you have it. Total Control 871.